श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विशेषे गौरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्याये सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। व्यासम् अष्टनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे सुखदादं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मदेवासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। So previously we were looking at Sanjaya describing, responding to Dhritarashtra's questions, and Vyasa came first, and Vyasa gave that celestial vision to Sanjaya, who had now could see everything and hear everything, and he knows everything from past, present, and future. So he knows everything. So he was explaining all this, and as I said previously, this discussion took place well before Pandavas and Kauravas have traveled to Kurukshetra. So it's immediately probably after Krishna's visit to Hastinapura. So we are just doing a flashback moment here in the Bhishma-parva when the war is about to start. So this section has come up. So we will look at this and then we'll resume the battlefield in events in Kurukshetra. So Dhritarashtra asks about all the Kurus, all the kings and everyone assembled in that Kurukshetra. He are going to be assembled there. He asked them that this earth should have many attributes and things. So he asks about this earth and all the details about the earth, and then Sanjay starts narrating. He says that in this world there are two kinds of creatures. One is mobile, that is another one is immobile. So immobile you could call about plants and mountains and other things like that. So among the mobile creatures, there are three types according to their birth. One is oviparous, viviparous, and then those comes from heat and dampness, like worms and other things. So among the mobile creatures, again, the ones that born through their mother's womb, they are the foremost, special, they are the superior. And then among them, men and animals are superior. Among those animals, there are different types and 14 species, different types of species that's been broadly classified. And those again, they have they're living in the forests, have 7 in the domesticated type of animals. So lions, tigers, boars, buffaloes, elephants, boars, apes, all these are wild. Cows, goats, sheep, men, horses, mules, asses, these are as domestic animals. Among those domestic ones, the men are the foremost, and among the ones in the wild, lions are considered the foremost. And all these creatures support one another by living on another animal. So, and then again, vegetables broadly classified into 4 categories: trees, shrubs, creepers, and creeping plants which live only for 1 year. And also the 5th one is the plants without any stems like grasses and things like that. So total making it 19 types, so 14 animal types, 5 vegetable types, so total 19. So along with that, 5 constitute the core things that make up all these things. So that's the Panchabhutas. So we will come to that in a second. So those together make 24 items, and those 24 are known as, described as Gayatri. So Gayatri is 24 letters, right? So Gayatri or Brahman. So the one who knows this Gayatri is not he's truly is possessed of all the virtue and everything. So Sanjay says that that person is not liable to the destruction of this world. So such a person knows the Brahman. So that means there is no birth or death to such a person. So everything in this earth, in this Bhumi, springs from it, and everything gets destroyed and merges with this earth. So again, Bhumi, this earth is the stay and refuge of all the creatures. It is eternal, it stays, and for this Bhumi, all the kings kill one another because they want to acquire this Bhumi as the position, because with that Bhumi comes all these great things. So Dhritarashtra then asks, name all the mountains, rivers, and everything that's on this earth with their dimensions and size and all these things. So describe all that. Sanjaya then starts narrating that all the things in this universe, in consequence of their presence with they are made up of 5 elements. So and that's why all the things in this universe are said to be equal, because they all made up of these 5 things, and those 5 things are space, air, fire, water, and earth. So again, those 5 things have the attributes, 5 different attributes: sound, touch, vision, taste, and scent. So every one of these 5 core elements, so that's Panchabhuta, space, air, fire, water, and earth, they have these attributes, 5 attributes. Again, the as the uh, earth has all the 5 attributes, and then the one before that, water has 4, fire has 3, and air has 2, and space has only 1 attribute. So that's why earth is considered as the superior, foremost among all of them, even though it comes after all these 4. So again, if you look at water, for example, it does not have scent, fire does not have taste and scent, and air does not have vision, taste, and scent, and space it has only sound in it. So, so air does have sound and touch. So like the fire has the first three, and water has the first 4 attributes. So like that, they have those attributes, and these 5 attributes again exist in this way, as along with those 5 principal elements, Panchabhuta, so 5 main elements. So in all the creatures, again, they sometimes exist separately or independently in this universe. Whenever, however, they exist together, they create, that starts the creation of something. So otherwise, creation does not happen. The life does not come to existence. So when these 5 things come together, then only the creation starts. So all these things are forms of the Brahma itself. So that Paramatma himself. So that's the form. So consisting again this universe seen by the creatures, all these elements made up of these 5 elements. Men always try to ascertain their proportions by exercising with different reasons or giving pramanas or justifications to confirm these 5 elements. And again, there are matters which is inconceivable. Again, in Gita Shastra, we are looking, right? So Atmajnana is Ascharyavat. It is very difficult to conceive. So it's very difficult to understand. So that's why there are things that's very difficult to prove, and those things which are beyond the human nature, uh, if it is beyond the human nature, that's considered as an indication of inconceivable. That is the like Brahma Tattva. So that Paramatma Tattva is Brahmavastu is inconceivable. So Sanjay says that that's something we cannot prove by any reason apart from the Shruti. So what Vedas say, based on that's the only proof that Atmavastu, Brahmavastu exist, and that's the only proof. And then he will Sanjay start describing about the different places and how this earth is shaped and things like that. So he starts with the island known as Sudarshana, and it is circular in shape and in form of a wheel, and it has many rivers and water bodies and mountains and everything like that in this. And has trees with flowers and fruits, crops of different types. It is surrounded by on the all sides by the salt ocean, and then it is seen from this Sudarshana island is seen from the Chandramandala, from the lunar disk itself. It can be seen. So there again, there are 2 parts to it, and again, he says that there are 2 parts. One is like a people tree, and another one looks like a large hair. So and then this again, Dhritarashtra asks, describe those things in detail. So both the sides, the one looking like a people tree and another one looking like a large hair, describe this in detail. So Sanjay starts that description. First, he starts description saying that the mountains, though stretching from the mountains. So he starts description first, starting from So he says that there are from stretching from east to west, there are 6 mountains, and they extend from eastern ocean to a west ocean. So they are Himavat, Hemakuta, Nishada, Nila, Shweta, and Shringavat. So these 6 mountains, they have all these stretch from east to west, and they are again Shweta mountain is white, Nishada, Nila is having a lot of jewels and stones, and the Shringavati is containing all type of metals and things like that. So they all mountains, all these 6 mountains always have Siddhas, Charanas in there, and space lying between them measures 1,000 yojanas, and very lot of kingdoms are there, and these divisions are called varshas. So among those, in those kingdoms reside different types of creatures of different species, and the land where we are, that Sanjay is saying where we are currently is called Bharata. So that Varsha is called Bharata Varsha. So that's why even today we call this earth as Bharata Varsha, and we refer as Bharata Varsha, right? So where the place in India where we are discussing is Bharata Varsha. So next to that Varsha is called Himavat, and then beyond that is Hari Varsha, and then south of Nila range and north of Nishada is called Malyavat, and then beyond that Malyavat northern side is Gandhamadana. Between those two, between Malyavat and Gandhamadana, is a globular mountain called Meru, which is made of gold, and it shines like sun, and it's like a fire without smoke. And then it is 84,000 yojanas high and 84 yojanas depth. So and again, bearing this the worlds above and below, it stays there, and that Meru is situated in 4 islands, 4 dwipas. They are called Bhadrashva, Ketumala, Jambudvipa, which is also known as Bharata, and then Uttarakur. So again, where in the Uttarakuru, where the people who have high merits, they live in that place. And then the bird Sumukha, which is Garuda's son, after seeing in the Meru all the golden thing, and it could not differentiate, everything is there, it left that place. And then similarly, we see here that Surya and Chandra and also Vayu, they all go in pradakshina to that Meru mountain. So they go in that from morning to evening. Surya goes in that Meru mountain, so he goes around that Meru mountain. So again, that mountain is having celestial fruits, flowers, and everything in it, and there is also in those mountains celestials, Gandharvas, Asuras, Rakshasas, Apsaras, and then Brahma, Rudra, Indra, all reside there, and then Tumburu, Narada, Vishwasu, Haha, Huhu, all these they sing diverse type of hymns and uh, worshipping the gods. They Brahma, Rudra, and others, they worship there with those their prayers. So and also 7 rishis and Kashyapa, Prajapati Kashyapa, they come there every Parva day, every special festival day. They come there, and the festival or Purnami or Amavasya and all those special days, Sankramana and those type of days, they come there. And then on those mountain as well, Shukra, Ujasana or Kavi, the Daityas Asuras Guru, he also is there. And again, Kubera enjoys in that mountain as well, who gives away only 16th part of the wealth to the men. So the rest all he keeps. And then on the northern side of the Meru, there is Karnikara, which is forest of Karnikara. And then there, Shiva with Uma, he with Karnikara flowers around his neck, touching his feet from neck to feet, that garland, he resides there. Siddhas always truthful in their speech. They see that Shiva with Pashupati, Shiva, Shankara with Parvati in that mountain. Again, Maheshwara is not able to, so is not visible to other people of wicked conduct. Then from that mountain, stream of milk, like a stream of milk, Ganga flows from there. She is also known as Bhagirathi, and then she falls from there, and then she was held in by Shiva in his forehead, in his head, in his hair for 100,000 years. He was held by Shiva we have looked at that story in Bhumi-parva, right? When Bhagirath brought Ganga to earth, at that time we looked at that story. And then on the western side of the Meru, there is Ketumala mountain, and then there is also Jambukanda. Both again, there again on the there in those places, the men have 10,000 years of lifespan. So they live for 10,000 years. And women also, they look like apsaras. Men have golden complexion. And in the again, they are free from sickness, sorrow, grief, and all those things. So they are always cheerful. So then on the summits of Gandhamadana, Kubera with Guhyakas, Rakshasas, Yakshas, he lives there. So with Apsaras as well. And Gandhamadana, there is also smaller mountains and hills, and measure of human lives in those mountains is 11,000 years. Then we look at Nila mountain. So beyond that Nila, the Varsha is called Shweta Varsha, and beyond the Shweta Varsha is Hiranyaka Varsha, and beyond Hiranyaka Varsha is called Airavata. So again, the last Varsha we look at is Airavata, and the first one is Bharata. So between those two, the other 5 Varshas, so Shweta, Hiranyaka, Ilavarta, Hari Varsha, and Himavat Varsha, these are in the middle. Ilavarta is exist in the middle of all this. So total 7 Varshas. So among these 7 Varshas, 5 already looked at, Airavata and Bharata. So then Chandaya starts explaining the others in detail. So there is a mountain called Hemakuta, otherwise known as Kailasha, and then in that again Vaishravana Kubera lives there with Guhyakas, and then immediately north of Kailasha. So again, Kailasha, Gandhamadana is all close nearby in their Hemakuta. So then Kailasa, near that mountain, there is a mountains of Mainaka mountains, and then the mountain called Manimaya, and then there is a beautiful lake called Bindusara. And there in that near Bindusara, Bhagirath did his penance for many thousand years, and he brought Ganga to earth. So then there again, there are in those Hemagota mountains, there are many sacrificial stakes made of gems and things like that. There is there, and then Indra did his sacrifices in that mountain. So there again, Nara, Narayana, Brahma, Manu, Stanu, that is Rudra, they all always present in those mountains. And then Ganga starts from there in that as 3 currents. She starts 3 rivers. She starts there Mandakini in heaven. She is known as known by 3 names: Mandakini in heaven, Ganga on earth, and Bhogavati in Patala. So that she starts there and divides herself into 7 streams. So Vashvokasara, Nalini, Saraswati, Jambunadi, Sita, Ganga, and Sindhu. So she divides herself into 7 rivers, and then as per Brahma's arrangement, she comes like that. And then again, Sanjay says that Saraswati is the one that sometimes becomes visible, sometimes some parts it's not visible. Okay, so Saraswati again in the Vedas and things is a river, and then we come also when we come to Puranas, we look at Saraswati as a Devata for knowledge. So again, Saraswati becoming invisible sometimes makes knowledge becomes invisible. So looking further, Rakshasas reside on the Himavant Guhyakas and Hemakuta serpents, Nagas, they reside on Nishada, Rishis on Gokarna, Shweta mountain, there are the celestials and asuras, Gandharvas reside in Nishadas, and many rishis also reside on Nila, and on the Shringavat, there are resorts for celestials. So these are the 7 varshas of the world. The world is divided into these 7 varshas, and then again diverse creatures, mobile, immobile, all placed in these things, and they all live in that. So again, they are both human and other creatures are living in those things. Again, at the extremities of that region, the 2 varshas in the on the north and on the south, those two have already Sanjay explained. Now then the 2 islands he talks about is Nagadvipa and Kashyapa, which look like the 2 ears of that hair. So again, he's explaining that large hair shaped the Dwipa, and there he's looking at the part of that. So he's explaining Naga Dwipa and Kashyapa Dwipa look like the hare's ears. And then now he looks at he also says that the Malaya mountain looks like, and the Jambu Dwipa again, they make it look like the shape of the hare. So Dhritarashtra then asks him explain more in detail about the mountains Malayavat and other details. So Sanjaya continues. He says on the south side of the Nila mountain there is northern side of and on the northern side of the Meru there is northern Kurus. So again northern Kurus we looked at in the Sabha Parva, I think, yes, in the Adi Parva. Yeah, it's probably in the Adi Parva. So where Arjuna went to on northern side ahead of the Rajasuya sacrifice. All four Pandavas went on four direction. Arjuna went northern side. He went north, and when he reached northern Kuru, he was sent back by the Siddha, saying that you should not cross this area, right? As a conquest, he should not cross this. So that's why Arjuna returned from there. Then we look at again in those places in northern Kurus, the trees always bear fruits. They always covered with fruits and flowers. Trees again fragrant. Some trees, even when someone asks for the fruit, they give also milk, which looks like it tastes like Amrita itself. And trees also give clothes and fruits and ornaments and everything that a man wishes for. So again, I'm not going to read everything that says here. You can read using the recording of these sessions. So again in the the people in those areas, they live 10,000 and 1,000 years. And then there is a class of birds called Bharunda, which has a sharp beaks and possesses of great strength, that lives there and that live upon the dead people in those regions. And that's the northern Kurus. And now he describes the eastern side of the Meru, and there region is known as Bhadrashva, and there the large trees of Bhadra trees that's there, and there is also tree called Kalamra. So Kalamra. Kala is dark color, so Amra is mango, so it is that type of tree. And there again in people live for 10,000 years in those region, eating those Kalamra fruits. So on the south side of the Nila and north of Nishada, there is a huge jambu tree, and that's why this island, this dwipa is known as Jambu Dwipa. That tree is sacred and it grants every wish, and it is 2,500 cubic square meters in circumference and 100,000 or 100 yojanas in height. It's such a huge tree, and the fruits of that fall and the juice flows into northern Kurus where people drink, and they will always have peace after drinking that.
Where do you find it? Where can you?
And then on the summit of Malyavat, you always see a fire called Samvartaka fire. So this again, Samvartaka fire, you probably heard previously. This is the fire that at the end of the yugas, it's the destruction. It is the fire that destroys all the worlds. So on the summit of Malyavat, so that's there. So it's again, you can imagine Malyavat is like a living volcano type of thing, right? So it's a fire there. So Dhritarashtra again asks him, name all the varshas and the mountains and details in detail. So I explain all those things. Sanjay continues. He says that on south of Shweta and north of Nishada, the varsha is called Romanaka, and the men there born there are white complexion, and they are very handsome, and they live 11,500 years. And then south of Nishada, Varsha is called Hiranmaya, and there the river is Hiranyavati, and there Garuda lives in those things along with many yakshas and other people live there, and those people live for 12,500 years. And then on the mountains of Shringavat, it has three beautiful summits, and one of this made of jewels and gems, another one is very wonderful. Another one is again all kinds of gems, and then there is a lady named Sandili lives in those mountains as well. And then on the north of Shringavat and up to margins, see the Varsha is known as Airavata, And again, because this is jeweled mountain, there the this is very superior to all the other mountains, and there the people live for 13,000 years. Then on the north of the Kshirasagara Milky Ocean, Hari lives in that. So, and he has a chariot made of gold with 8 wheels in it, and supernatural creatures uh, carrying it. So it's that he lives in that with Jambunada golds. Again, the gold coming from the Jambu Dwipa, it is made of that. So Hari again, when Sanjay explains this, Dhritarashtra thinks about Narayana, and then he says that it is the time Kala that destroys the universe. It is the time that again creates everything. Nothing here is eternal, and it is Narayana who that destroy all the creatures. So everyone, all the devatas describe him as Vaikunta, and while men call him Vishnu. So he is that. So Sanjaya thinks about what's going to happen to his sons, and he thinks about Vishnu like that. Suma, can you please stay on mute, please? Okay, and then Dhritarashtra asks again, after saying that, he asks him again, you explained about Bharata, but now continue describing this in more detail. And then Sanjay continues, he says that, yeah, so you described about Bharata, which is the land which Duryodhana is very much desires, and similarly Pandu is also desiring that one. So continue now describing Sanjaya, but corrects Dhritarashtra here, saying that Pandu's sons, they are not greedy like your sons. On the other hand, Duryodhana is very covetous. So along with Shakuni and others, so that's why they are looking at that. And he starts explaining the land known as Bharata's name. So again, Bharata Varsha is known by the king Bharata, not the Bharata we see in Dushyanta Shakuntala, but the Bharata that we look at in Bhagavata Purana in detail. So again, the the Bharata Varsha is very beloved of Indra, and that's why it's called Bharata. And it's also beloved of Manu, Vishwat, Prutu, Vainya, Ikshvaku, Yayati, Ambarisha, Mandarti, Nahusha, Muchakanda, Shibi, Ushinara, Rishabha, Ila, Nriga, Kaushika, Gadi, Somaka, Dilipa, all these many other kings, Kshatriyas came there. Mahendra, Malaya, Sahya, Stuktimati, Rakshavat, Vindhya, Pariprata, these are 7 Kula Parvatas of this Bharatavarsha, and then there is again many thousands and thousands of mountains that make up this. Besides this, there are many other smaller mountains as well with very barbarous tribes living there. Aryas, Mlechas, mixed race, everything live there. Ganga, Sindhu, Saraswati, Godavari, Narmada are the main large rivers, and also Yamuna, Drishtavati, Vipapa. So Vipapa, Stulavakula, Vetravati, many other rivers that come. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat all the river names. So there are many hundreds of rivers Sanjay names here. So he names all these rivers, and then Sanjay again, besides these hundreds of rivers, there are many other hundreds and thousands of rivers that's there in this Bharatavarsha. So Sanjay again continues that describing the provinces in this region, in this Bharatavarsha. He starts with Kuru Panchala, Shalvas, Madhreyas, Jangalas, Surasena, and like that he describes all the different provinces in this Bharatavarsha. Again, you can read all these in your own free time. So on the south as well, he describes Dravidas, Kerala, some of the names we can link to current states and things like that. Varavashikas, Karnatakas, Mahishakas, Vikalpas, Moshakas, and things like that. So he describes many other regions. And then there are in the north, there are Mlechas, Kruras, Yavanas, Chinas, Kambojas, Dharunas, and then many other Mlecha tribes. So he describes all the tribes and regions that make up of this Bharatavarsha. Again, he says that this earth itself, with its resources, are properly developed according to its qualities and prowess, is like always ever yielding cow, uh, which is again it gives for the dharma, artha, and kama. It can be milked, so the earth can be utilized for that. Brave kings, that's why with virtue and profit, uh, they because of that they look for this earth, and earth again is the refuge of both celestial devatas as well as human bodies, and kings, that's why tried to acquire this earth like dogs. They try to earth acquire this earth, and again earth, if well looked after, it becomes the father, mother, children, and everything for all the creatures. But otherwise, it will be difficult. And then Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya about the time period and the strength and good and bad things about each of these things. And Sanjaya briefly expands the four yugas. He says that in the Bharatavarsha there are four different yugas: Krita, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. And Krita Yuga, each yuga sets, first yuga sets is Krita Yuga, and after that Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga comes. Again, 4,000 years are, again, this is Devata years, 4,000 Devata years are Krita Yuga, 3,000 are Treta Yuga, and Dwapara is 2,000, and then Kali Yuga. Uh, sorry, 4,000 years are the measure of life of Krita Yuga, 3,000 in Treta, Dwapara is 2,000, and Kali Yuga, there is no limit. Sometimes men die in their womb, sometimes after birth, and at any age they could die. And Krita Yuga men are born of, they have hundreds of thousands of children of great strength and power and things like that. They are all virtuous, they are uh, wealth of asceticism, great exertion, and they have high souls and virtuous, truthful in their speech. And in Treta Yuga, Kshatriyas rule the earth from sea to sea, and in Treta Yuga, again, brave Kshatriyas, they look after with their heroism, they uh, show their strength in the battlefield. And in Dwapara, all the four orders try to acquire conquering one another, and then when the Kali Yuga comes, men become of little energy, highly angry, covetous, untruthful. The jealousy, pride, anger, deception, malice, covetousness, all these things takes over in the Kali Yuga. And he reminds that the Dwapara Yuga remains very little, small portion of the Dwapara Yuga now remains. And then the Varsha known as Himavat is superior to Bharata Varsha, and Hari Varsha is superior to Haina Varsha, and then respect of all the qualities. Dhritarashtra again asks for described Jambu Kanda and Shakadvipa, Kushadvipa, Shalmali Dvipa, Krauncha Dvipa, all these dvipas along with Jambu Dvipa that's described. So again, Sanjay continues. He says that Jambu Mountain extends from full 8,600 yojanas, and the Salt Ocean is said to be twice of that size. And then there comes the Shakadvipa, and then it is twice the extent of Jambu Dvipa. And then from after the Shakadvipa, uh, he explains that Dhritarashtra asks him to describe in detail, and then he continues explains, saying that there is again there is a mountain, this Meru mountain where Rishi is Gandharvas, everybody, right? Next to that there is a Malaya mountain, and then there is a next to that there is a large mountain called Jaladhara, and then there comes Raivataka in that Shakadvipa, and then there is a mountain called Shama where all the things are dark, people are dark and dark complexion. Then he again explains that in that Shama mountain, the island, in many islands, in most of the islands, people are fair or dark or mixture, but in that Shama mountain, everything is dark color. People are dark color, and after this, there is a large mountain called Durgashila, and then there is a mountain called Kesari, and then like this, there are seven varshas in that Shakadvipa. There are seven varshas of Mahakasha, Kumadottaka, Sukumara, Kumara, Mani, Manikachan, Manikanchana, and then Mandakini. The Varsha called Kesari is also called Mandakini. So there is again. So, and then in that middle of there is a huge tree called shaka, just like in Jambu Diva there is a Jambu tree. So here is a shaka tree, and then there are many rivers as well. So Sukumari, Kumari, Sita, Kaverka, Maharadi, and things like that. And then different provinces in that Shakadvipa, Mragas, Mashakas, Manasas, and things like that. There are different things. And then now he goes to the next circle, next island which is made up of ghee, and then there is a one ocean made up of curds, and then one made up ocean made up of wine, and then there is one water. So again, so he explains that there is a large mountain called Gaura, where on the western mountain called Krishna, which is favorite of Narayana. And then there is a Kushadvipa, uh, where Kushagras comes, and then there is a Shalmali Dvipa where there is a Shalmali tree, and then there is a Krauncha Dvipa where there is a Mahakrauncha mountain is there. And then there is also a mountain called Gomanta, where Narayana always always resides in that. And then Kushadvipa again, another mountain. There's a called by the Kusha, and then there is also he also describes of the different varshas in that Deepa called Adhido and Vedamandala and so on. So he explains that, and then he goes to Krauncha Dvipa, which again has different mountain, Krauncha mountain, and then the different varshas in that rivers, and then the provinces in that uh, uh, Krauncha Dvipa. So then finally he explains the Dhritarashtra asks him about uh, the details of the Surya and Chandra and others. So Sanjaya explains here, saying that again the heavenly bodies, Sorbanu, the planet known as Sorbanu is globular, and then it is about 12,000 yojanas and 40,000 yojanas in circumference, and then Surya himself is 30,000 yojanas, 30,900 yojanas in circumference and 11,000 yojanas in diameter. And then Surya is 10,000 yojanas in circumference and 33,800 yojanas in circumference. So similarly, uh, he also explains that Rahu, which is even in greater size, that's why he envelops Surya and Chandra during the Grahana time. So Sanjay explains that I have not told you all these things. So as per the Shastras, so that's why you pacify Duryodhana to stop this war. And he also concludes saying that anyone listening to this Bhumi-parva, this explanation of this Bhumi, this earth and its structure, its dwipas, and each dwipa having the mountains, varshas, dwipas divided into different varshas and having different provinces, mountains, rivers, and all these things. One knowing all this, that Kshatriya he will become prosperous, and he obtains all his desires, and he goes on the path of righteousness. And king who listens this on the full moon day or new moon day, observing the vows and things like that, he has his period of life enhanced, and also his ancestors Pitrus will be gratified. So he explains that, and with that this Bhumi-parva concludes. So we'll look at what happens next in the next time when we gather.